That was actually going to be my suggestion.
Good. Then I'm glad I was right.
We're on the same page.
Yes, exactly. All right. There we are. Cool. We are live and in living color on the YouTubes. So now I did that. You are pertaining to that. Excellent. We are live. So we can do this thing whenever
All
you're
right.
As long as you're good, I will give us our fun, what's going on.
Hit me with it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of What's on Second, a true baseball podcast. It is Richie and Michael back on the diamond yet again. Mr. Michael, how are you, my brother?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Oh, we're here for another day of fun on the diamond, and mainly this episode gonna be the Balk Talk episode. So
You got it.
I will swing it over to you to let us know what's on the lineup card, but I know primarily that's what's going to be it. Is going to be our Balk Talk segment. But what else do we have on that lineup card today, my friend?
So, guys, for this Balk Talk 2.0, more or less, edition of What's on Second, we're going to kind of start off with a current issue that has really just come to light over the last couple of days pertaining to Wander Franco. I'm going to throw Richie for a smidge of a loop here. After that little discussion, we're going to go through a topic that he talked about earlier off the air just before we went live with the all MLB team. I have not looked into it. I was instructed not to. So we will see how that goes. Before finishing with the Balk Talk the Balk Talk segment. This episode 2, just so you guys on the YouTube video and mainly for the podcast are aware, this isn't really going to be a touched up episode. I'm getting ready to go on a little mini vacay up to Ohio in the next couple of days. So I'm not going to have time to touch it up. So we're going to pretty much just throw it out
raw.
there.
It is raw, unedited. It will get an intro and outro, basically music plugged in, and then it is going live. It will not take very long at all. So
the quickest episode that's ever gotten out to you on the pod.
Yeah, we may be able to turn this one around in about almost a 24-hour period. Who knows? We'll see how fancy we're feeling this week.
I would assume it'll probably get released tomorrow morning, so not even 24 hours, but
not even.
It'll take me about 5 minutes to touch up the decibel levels, as Richie and I are boisterous individuals. But just to kind of get this topic out of the way, Rays phenom shortstop Wander Franco today was officially put on the restricted list.
Oh, I didn't even see him get put on the list. Oh boy, that's not good news for him.
So a couple days ago, there was some social media post going around showing him in some sort of flirtatious relational light with an underage girl, I'm assuming back in his home country. It's pretty much come out that she's 14 years old in that ballpark. Wander himself is 22, so that's obviously big no. We don't know.
No fly zone.
No fly zone. We don't know what the cultural differences are between where he comes from and what goes on here in the States. Maybe down there that's somewhat good. I'm going to go off of not, because one of the posts that I did read about this said that there was some sort of like hush money involved. So maybe it is okay down there, but either way, this person or family or whatever knows that it's not okay up here. It's not okay with the MLB. And there was some, if the entire account is true, or at least this take, if it's correct, there was some issue with the hush money payments, and they are starting to come and throw this incident out on the social media webs. I've seen 4 of the pictures roughly. It is definitely looks just like Wander. So unless he's got a identical twin, it's looking pretty incriminating for him.
Yikes.
So
That's no good. And that's one of the top young
mhm,
phenoms coming up in the game who we were
yep.
pretty much ready to basically let run with this, with the whole MLB. Really, they were ready to
Yep.
let him be one of the mainstays. I don't
Yep.
want to call him on the same level as a like a Harper or a Trout back in the day, but
Hmm.
we're talking big time guy out there.
So he was looking really good this year, like he was coming into his own. I think one of the first few
Mhm.
episodes I had said I think this was going to be a breakout year for him. And so far he was proving me right. He also kind of falls into that discussion that I brought up. I think it was last week in our Fracas episode about how the MLB, or not the MLB itself, but teams love to give all these young kids these massive contracts right off the
Yes.
rip, a la J Rod. And then Tim Anderson got
Tim
one
Anderson.
very quickly. I know a individual who has not seen play sit for a while, to my knowledge, in Philly. Mr. Kingery got
Yep.
a big contract very early on. Wander got one from the Rays, an 11-year, I think $250 million deal, something along those lines.
Mhm.
So I want to say it was Saturday. It was either Friday or Saturday, one of the two. But I'm going to say Saturday. He was playing in the game. I believe it was against the Guardians still,
Yeah.
and uh, he got pulled in the fifth inning. Didn't know why, but he just disappeared. Left the game. Wasn't in the dugout. Anything like that. And then yesterday, he didn't play. So
Interesting. So you think they
people,
pulled him there? That had to
because
be something from it.
when the Rays became aware of the situation. So I will say I don't believe that Tampa knew of what was going on until this weekend, because Wander had Wander, the Rays had a giveaway on yesterday on Sunday for a snapback hat, a Wander Franco like snapback hat. I think it was a Wander Franco one. If not, it was just a Tampa Bay Rays one. But either way, it was yesterday's game had a giveaway of a snapback hat that was only for children 14 and under. So it's one of
Oh
those, like,
no.
yeah,
That's
it's one of
terrible
those
timing.
terrible
I mean,
timing.
that's normal. First off, I'm preferencing that. It's terrible timing just because of the situation. That
Yep.
is not an unusual giveaway. The Rays are not jerks in any sense of them. Like the Phillies just did one with Kyle Schwarber's shirt jersey, Schurzy, as we like to call them,
Huh.
like literally last week.
Hmm.
It's not unusual. So
Yeah.
don't be alarmed by that.
No, it's all the coincidences with it. A children's
Yeah.
hat for 14 and under is what was given away the day after he gets pulled randomly from a game. The reporters asked him, because that's when it was really kind of starting, that uh, player or social media people, fans and whatnot, everyone was starting to see these reports Saturday into Sunday, and then he was suspiciously out. Oh, a scheduled off day is what uh Cashman, or Brian Cashman,
Almost.
what Kevin Cash said. And he said he was not going to go into details on anything else. So it would shut down any possibility of talking about the incident, which makes sense. So
They also probably can't talk about it right
nope,
now because of
no,
legal issues, because this is getting definitely into a legal area.
yep,
So they can't talk about it as much. Also, to put this out there too, this is not a suspicious organization. The Rays have
no,
never been involved in anything like this. So I hold no
nope,
problem to the
no,
Rays. This is definitely a Wander Franco issue, not a
yes,
Tampa. I mean, it's a Tampa Bay Rays issue because they have to deal with it, but it is not a fault of theirs. It is
it's
a situation they have to deal with.
it is not a la to it, as of right now, at least on Monday, August 14th at 5:44, excuse me, in the evening. It's not like Penn State when Joe
No.
Paterno, I think was his name, Jopa
Yep.
was
Joe Pa, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yep, was the coach at Penn State, and he had those horrific he knew about those what
The
happened.
Sandusky problems, yeah.
Yep. So Uh, the Rays currently are in San Francisco. Yesterday, it was reported that Wander was not flying with the team. Another massive red flag. Like yesterday on Saturday, when he got pulled in the fifth inning, unless you like come down with the flu and the team comes out like, yeah, he was blowing chunks or something like that,
or back spasms or something, some
something.
injury.
Yeah, then but you get pulled out of a game with no explanation. That's a massive red flag. Next
Big
red
time.
flag, he's not flying with the team, and then today he gets put on the restricted list. I don't know how, like I said earlier, I don't know how true these allegations are, but we've just got to kind of wait and see how it plays out. It's a black eye for the organization, not that they're a dirty one, but because they have to put up with it because it's one of their star guys.
Oh.
But I really hope it's not true. But if it
If
is,
it is, his career's done.
oh yeah,
I really don't think anybody's taking him at that point. I mean,
no,
they'll be able, sadly, because he's got money, he'll be able to get out of it more than anything. He'll get a punishment, but it won't be the end of the world.
see,
But
I don't think
not that I
there's,
agree with that, but
yeah, I don't think there's much that maybe the United States could do. The only thing that maybe baseball could is either banning him, or he gets a like year or two expulsion from the league.
yeah,
um
exactly.
Maybe nothing even happens in his home country where this whole thing possibly took place. So it's more so going to be at some point in the next maybe 4 to 5 years, once maybe he is eligible to play again. If it gets to that extent,
Right.
would a team be willing to take that risk, which I don't think would be the case.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to use another name has fallen off the face of the earth. I mean, also ability has that too. But once Yasiel Puig got all his stuff came up, I mean, nobody would touch. He's talented as all get out. Nobody's touched him within an inch. I think he's either in the Mexican League or the Cuban League. He might be playing over there still, if that. But I mean, the Japan League is pretty much the second best league minus the MLB. And if nobody's willing to give you a contract there, I mean, like it's an outside shot they're taking on Trevor Bauer right now. And that's because he got acquitted of everything. Maybe he gets to come back, but like you're looking at all these other big names that have had these issues that have come out. They're not getting their shot back. It's pretty much gone.
They're not getting their shot back. Even like in Bauer's case where he was acquitted of everything, it's still a black mark.
Oh yeah,
coming with it. I mean, the one league that you see that, like, for whatever reason teams take maybe a little bit of a blind eye with is football, with the amount of domestic
and
violence issues. Yeah, I mean, no matter what it is, if there's a domestic violence issue, you flick your partner too hard in the nose, or you do what like Ray Rice did, or Kareem Hunt. I mean, we've seen all these, as a Cleveland fan, it was great having Hunt for the few years that we did, but it was like, I mean,
how do you root for him? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
hard to root for him.
It is it's even more so the same thing with Deshaun Watson now, but that's a different sport. So
yeah, different sport, different game. We won't go down that road, but yeah, it's a bad news look. If it is true, then it needs to be handled with the care and the punishment as it has been so far. And good on the Rays for nipping it in the bud. They didn't let him finish the game he was in. They said, you're done. We're yanking you. We got to talk about this and we got to clean it up. So that's the thing about a model organization right there. And it's a shame because the Rays are really thriving right now. They're in a playoff hunt. They're in a great situation. They will be coming up in Balk talk later, so I won't bury the lead too much on that. But yeah, hopefully, I'm hoping that this is all. I hope it doesn't come out as true, but I'm not holding my breath right now, unfortunately.
No, if I had to guess, it's probably true because
there's too many signs and there's too much incriminating evidence against it, sadly. So which would be a shame to watch one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best switch hitters alone, but one of the best overall players to go through this.
Yep. But it would all be his fault because of
it would absolutely be all his fault.
Yep.
Yeah, there is nobody to blame but him in that situation. You cannot put yourself in that situation. I don't care what culturally it is allowed. You know what you do for a living.
Yep.
It's just asking for problems.
Yeah. But on that note, we'll go ahead and transition into this quick topic about the all MLB team. This is all Richie. So Richie,
yes,
take it away.
Awesome. So we're going to the all MLB team. We're going to have a little more fun now. We started this episode on a little bit of a sour note. We're going to the upbeat side. Let's have some fun. And how that is going to have fun is the MLB website just released their favorites for the 2023 all MLB team. So there is a first team and a second team for all positions. When we get to outfielders and pitchers, we'll kind of explain how that goes. Obviously, there's one for all the other positions right now. But Michael has not seen it yet. I have, because I have it pulled up here as well. I want to see how good Michael's feeling about his abilities here. So we're going to challenge Michael on each position. He's going to give us a first team and a second team, and we're going to see how close he does in correspondence with the MLB.com experts here to see what his overall level of knowing the game is here on this. So we're going to have some fun with this. Well, I think you're going to do better than you think. So we'll start it out here. Now, the all MLB team, just to give everybody an understanding of this, this does not go by league. So this is just the first team is the top position, top player in that position in their eyes. And the second team is the second best. Has nothing to do with league or anything like that. So it could be two NL guys on first and second team. It could be two AL guys. It could be a 1-on-1 situation in outfields, and pitchers will get more in depth to that once we get there. But where we're going to start this is with our favorite position, of course, and that's catching. No, it's not our favorite, but we're just starting there at the bottom just to make it easier. So, Michael, in catcher, who would you think would be your first team and your second team all MLB catchers? You can have a moment to think on this.
Yeah, the first team, I'm going to try not to. That way we can keep this unedited, raw episode
going.
Shorter. First team, JT. Second team, Sean Murphy.
I will give you points. You will get points here. I'll give them some points here on each thing. First team, as they have actually, is your second team pick. It is actually they have first team as Sean Murphy, understandably so, who is one of the leaders in OPS, as well as basically having one of the best overall years for a catcher that we've had. And he plays for Atlanta, which is very helpful. He's been so the first team catcher they have is Sean Murphy. The second team is not JT. It is actually Will Smith from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Okay, so a good pick. Obviously you have to also remember that there is a DH category in this too, obviously now, but with this as well, but we're not going there yet. But those guys obviously get interchanged into that DH role. Since both of them have a good backup catcher as well for both those teams. So that is a big deal. Going on to first base, who would you think you have for first base as far as first team and second team all MLB?
First team, Freddie Freeman. Second team, Matt Olson.
You nailed it. Nail on the head, both of them. I was going to say, I knew you would get first team because Freddie Freeman's an easy, clear pick, and there's no doubt. Still leads the league in one of the top guys in average, is just does everything. I mean, it's stupid how good he is at hitting a baseball. And then Matt Olson is the second team representative as of right now, in their opinion. He is tied, last I checked, for the lead in home runs with Ohtani, unless they've kind of flip-flop in the last couple days. I know they're like 1A and 1B at this point. So yeah, he's hitting the ball out of the ballpark like crazy, and it's not just against righties, which is the scarier part, is he's doing it against lefties too. Moving on to second base, Who do you have as your first team and second second baseman? Wow, that's a tongue twister, and I can't wait for that to be not edited out at all.
Yeah, welcome to again. What's on second?
Yeah, live show, baby. What's on second? Here we go.
Shoot. That's difficult.
Now, one should be pretty obvious to you.
I'm gonna brain toot all over it. I don't know why I can't think of specific teams and their second baseman.
I'm gonna give you one team, and I'm gonna give you it'll help you with the first teamer. Miami.
Oh, Luis Ariz.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Luis
Yeah.
Ariz. If I give you the second team, I guarantee you get the second teamers too. Texas.
Is it Marcus Semien?
Yeah, it's Simeon.
Okay.
I know that they're interchangeable because Seager can also play over there, but it's Simeon's technically the second baseman. Yeah, it's Rise, obviously, Mr. 400, as we like to jokingly say. He's down to 367 now. Oh, what a shame.
His season's over.
Yeah, gosh, what a jerk. But yeah, I don't think we're seeing the second 400 season right now, but that's okay. Still a ridiculous season, and the guy hits. It's just nuts how the guy hits. And then Marcus Semien having a great resurgent season after having a horrible year last year in his first year in Texas. The guy, it's this amazing concept that we talk about all the time, that when you sign big deals, sometimes you got to give yourself some chances here. On those. I did forget to mention really quick. There are some others that received votes in the catcher department. Adley Rutschman received some votes as well. There were no differences. Everybody agreed on the first baseman's. As far as second base goes, receiving some votes as well were Ha-Sung Kim of San Diego and Bryson Stott of Philadelphia, deservingly so. Third base. Who do you think is the first team and second team third baseman?
First team, I would say. Part of me wants to always go with whoever Atlanta and the Rangers have, but
I'm going to give you a hint. Both of those would be wrong.
Yep, I had a feeling. So, is Jose second team?
No, but he is first team.
Oh, son of a gun. All right, at least there's...
I was going to say you're overthinking it because I really want you to say your guy because he actually is.
And I was going to say him, but I didn't. I mean, I love Jose. I was like,
I know you were trying to hide your bias is really what you were doing with that one. But no, you're allowed to use your bias on this one because he's absolutely the one I would pick as well. He's the first team representative. Right. Who do you think is the second
first team? Second team.
This is a questionable choice in my opinion too, because I feel like it could be somebody else.
National League or American League?
American
League, East, Central, or West?
East.
American League, second team. Not New York. Not Boston.
Nope. Although good third baseman, but nope, not this year.
Is it Tampa?
Nope.
Who's Toronto's third baseman? Matt Chapman.
Yeah. Yep. Matt Chapman. Yeah. That's who they've given the second team to. I kind of don't like that pick. Others receiving votes. Manny Machado, don't think he deserves it, but the guy I do think deserves it, Austin Riley. I think he would be better than Matt Chapman in my opinion. But that's who they pick, and it's just early. Again, these are predictions. These are not set in stone yet. First team, second team, shortstops.
If I had to guess, first team, Corey Seager.
You are correct on that one.
Second team, Trey Turner.
No. Oh, God, no. Not after how bad he's been playing this year.
Yeah.
He's had a horrible year. On a normal Trey Turner year, he'd be in the discussion, but he's not. I mean, if it was just his last week, he's batting like 400 right now. I will give you another guess at that because I know that was just a default answer. Any other ideas? You know this answer, too.
Atlanta?
Nope.
Oh, Dansby.
Although, good guess. No, but a good guess.
All right.
He did receive votes. Dansby did receive votes. It is actually Bo Bichette. Bo the Show.
Okay.
Understandably so. He still does lead the lead in hits. even though he's been out for almost 3 weeks. But he still has a 321 average, 352 OBP, and a 494 slash line with 17 homers. Also receiving votes besides Dansby, Bobby Witt Jr.
Fair.
Very fair. Just never going to get a shot because of the
The guys above him.
Kansas City team.
Yeah.
So we come to outfield. So there are 3 first teamers and 3 second teamers. What I'm going to do to make this easier, because I'm not going to make you try to guess. I'm just going to let you guess you have 6 names you have to find. I'm going to let you try to take a stab on some names here. I'll give you 10 shots to get the 6 names. Let's do it that way. But you have 6 names that are in that list. And then I'll tell you who's first team, second team.
George Springer.
No.
I'm
counting everybody on the video just so that everybody knows. I told him he gets 10, so I got to make sure I don't overdo it.
Right, so I got 9 more. Aaron Judge.
Nope.
Fernando Tatis.
No.
Oh, let's see.
I'll give you a hint. Tatis' teammates on there.
Oh, Juan Soto.
That one's in there.
J-Rod.
J-Rod. No. You're thinking too hard.
Cody Bellinger.
No.
Stephen Kwan.
No.
I definitely am thinking too hard. See, that's what happens when I think a lot.
It's all right.
My mind blanks.
I'll give you one. Atlanta. Should be a very easy answer.
Oh, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah, there
MVP.
You go. Yep.
I'll
give you one more. Dodgers.
Mookie.
Yes.
And then my last guess, it's gonna be wrong, but Brandon Nimmo.
You are wrong.
I did.
I appreciate the guess. Okay, so the 3 you mentioned that you did get, albeit with some help, Ronald, Mookie, and Juan Soto are your first teamers, as they guess right now. The second team, Luis Robert Jr., Adolis Garcia,
Randy
Corbin Carroll.
Corbin Carroll makes sense. Was Randy Arozarena on like one of the guys that got votes?
Guys that got votes: Kyle Tucker, understandably, J-Rod, you mentioned, Christian Yelich, Tatis Jr., who you mentioned, Yoshida, Matasaka Yoshida, and then who you mentioned, who I can't now. I'm blanking on the name. You mentioned somebody. Whatever. But yeah, those guys are it. Last one. Oh no, there's one. Well, we didn't do pitchers yet, but last hitting category, DH. First team, second team.
First team's kind of difficult. The only DH, like sole DH I can think
not
of.
Sole DH, so I'll take that out of there.
Is it not?
It's not a sole DH. It is Shohei. It is Shohei. Okay.
Well,
I didn't want you to get confused because he is a starting pitcher too. I just didn't want you to to get yourself stumped.
So DH is Shohei. Second team, I honestly don't know because I mean, are there really? Is it Bryce?
It is not. Bryce is not. He did not receive votes this year mainly because of his power zapping
dip. Okay, who's the second team? I'm not gonna.
Yordan Alvarez.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Understandably so. The other one receiving votes is JD Martinez, who I actually would have picked over Yordan because JD's been healthier. But yeah,
JD's been healthier, but JD is also a DH only, whereas Yordan plays in the outfield. That's why I wouldn't have gotten Alvarez.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah. So the pitchers.
To the pitchers. So starting pitchers. This is that category where there's multiples. So there's 5. It's just like you're making a rotation. So you get 5 first team, 5 second team. Again, I'm just going to give you 10 guesses and I'll let you know if they're on there. It's just going to be easier. So no, because they gave, I'll give you a caveat on that. Normally, yes, they gave him the others designation. So they did not put him in this category.
Okay.
Normally, yes, he's in there, but I won't count that as a guess.
Garrett Cole.
Yes. 1.
Let's see. Shane Bieber
hasn't pitched enough this year. No.
Okay. Max Fried probably hasn't pitched enough.
Hasn't pitched enough, but got votes, but not enough.
Okay.
Think your obvious ones first. That's where I'm going to try and help
thinking
you.
of Atlanta and Texas.
Okay. Atlanta's got one in there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh shoot.
Throws two pitches, 99 and then a slider.
Oh, Strider.
There you go. That's why I gave you the slider. It's kind of in his
Thank
name
you.
too. NL Cy Young probably guy.
Zach Gallen.
Yep, there you go.
So that's 3 right.
Yep, 3 right so far.
And then there's
how about no hitter?
There's a few no hitters.
Against your team.
Framber
you know who I'm
Valdez.
talking. Yeah, there you go. I wasn't trying to be that way, but yeah, you're right. There is multiple no hitters because Michael Lorenzen just threw the most.
I was just about to say I'm going to throw you a bone and say Lorenzen, but you took it out of my mouth.
He's not. He's not good enough.
Eduardo Rodriguez.
No, but it got votes.
Kershaw
hasn't pitched enough and normally would get it.
You Darvish.
No, but his teammate is. So I'll give you the list. You got Cole, you got Framber, you got Spencer Strider, you got Zach Gallen. Those are the first teamers. The other first teamer is Kevin Gausman of Toronto.
Okay.
Understandably so. Second team, Blake Snell, Nathan Eovaldi, Justin Steele, Sonny Gray, Logan Webb.
Okay.
Understandable. Again, and again, you had a bunch of names in there that could have been added in there as well. Others receiving votes. I said Shohei. They didn't give him full credit for this one. Corbin Burns, Clayton Kershaw, you mentioned George Kirby, Zach Eflin, Verlander. I don't know why, but they did give him some credit. Kodai Senga, that one understood. And then Luis Castillo.
Okay.
Last one, relief pitchers. There's two first teamers, 2 second teamers. I'm going to try and limit this for you. I'll just give you 5 guesses. I'm going to give you the teams and we'll just do it that way. Cause it's only you'll be here all day otherwise. So first team, Baltimore, San Diego.
Batista. And then for San Diego, Hader.
Yes, correct. Second team, Cincinnati, Milwaukee. Ironic that they're both in
Alexis
the same division.
Diaz.
Yep.
And then Milwaukee.
You know it once you'll think about it.
Is it? Well, I would assume their closer.
It is their closer.
I can't think of who their closer is because it's not Hader.
It's not Hader. No.
Oh, is it one? No, I don't know.
Devin Williams.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, Devin Williams. But overall, I give you credit. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
Others receiving some votes in the relievers: Aroldis Chapman, David Bednar, Camilo Duvall, who I actually would put up there before I would have put up Alexis Diaz, in my opinion, and Emmanuel Clase and Yanier Cano.
Okay.
Cano just doesn't get as much as he should, probably because of the fact that he is the setup guy for the mountain.
Yeah.
In that regard. So, but that is the all MLB rough team right now. So you did very well. I give you a lot of credit though.
I give you credit for
it's not easy when you're on the other side of that. I would have had just as difficult of a thought in that. So there's a lot of options.
I promise I like baseball and I can talk it. I think it's more so I just don't know all 2 million baseball players that are currently
I was going to
playing.
say it's a difficult challenge when you really think about it because I didn't let you look at the list at all. So I give you a lot of credit. You had quite a few right on there.
Thank you. But we'll go ahead and transition to really the meat and potatoes finale, what the episode is being named on, which is Balk Talk. Since you went through all that explanation with the all MLB team, I think you said you had 4.
I do.
Hit me with those 4, then I'll finish it out.
Sounds like a plan. All right, Balk Talk. First one, obviously we're going to kind of tie it all back because that's what we do here. We bring it all around. Balk Talk comes around. We talked about Wander Franco, about his issues that have popped up about the social media posts and everything like that. I didn't know he made the exempt list, but he has now. But it still does not change the question. Balk or walk? I know he's gotten quote unquote, he's not suspended, but he is off the team as of right now on the exempt list. Balk or walk, if Wander is to be removed from the team, which he is now, Balk or walk, the Rays lose out on the playoffs.
Balk. There,
Okay.
I don't see him being the key driving force behind that offense. I think they have plenty of bats around. I don't know what the kid's name is. They just brought him up to
Oh yeah, the
fill
new
in at
kid. Yeah, he's
shortstop.
good. Yeah.
So we'll see how he does, but they're just too well rounded of a team to completely fall out of it because one guy, albeit yes, an important piece, but not. I don't think he is the main reason. They've played too well even without or with missing Rasmussen and McClanahan for the pretty much most of the year, let alone the whole rest of the year. So I balk you on it.
Okay, you balk me on it. That's fair. I will combat you by saying that while they do have a 5-game lead and they are the top wild card team right now, as they obviously have had a huge year, and there's no doubt of that, there are the teams nipping on their heels that could potentially come up here. Obviously, Toronto in their division, but Houston could, I would say Houston's going to probably overtake them now for the top wild card spot. I think that's definitely possible. And then I would be nervous about Toronto, but also in the background, you have Seattle, Boston, not so much worried about the Yankees. And you could kind of say the Angels, but not really. And the Angels that are all kind of looming there. But I really talk about Seattle and Boston are looming there just like 3 games out of a wild card spot. Mm-hmm. If they go on a dip, they play Boston still a couple more times this year, which is not good for them. And Seattle's really gotten their stride back. It's taken a while, but they finally figured out how to play again. So I would be wary of it. I don't think they will, like you said, but I would imagine that there's a threat to that for them. I think it makes it easier for Baltimore now to just run away with that division. Not that they haven't already, but they, I mean, it's only 3 games, but it makes it easier going forward. So going forward, balk or walk? I know you made a prediction last week, and I agreed with you that Atlanta will is going to win the East. I agreed on you with it, but interesting things have transpired, and the Phillies have gotten to be a better team, and they have learned how to play baseball again. And they just spanked the Twins that game, and then they lost the series on kind of BS yesterday's game. I will be honest, it was mainly, God forbid, we had some auto up issues there, but balk or walk, the Phillies can catch the Braves for the NL East. They are currently 10 games back, 11 games back now.
If it were worded the Phillies will catch them, I would have balked you on it. But on the wording of the Phillies can catch them, I'm going to say I'll walk with you on that.
Okay, fair enough.
I think they could. I don't see it happening, but
I don't either. I'm being honest, but
but I definitely think there's a chance. I mean, whenever Lorenzen came in through that no hitter, I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he's I think TikToker and social media, big well-known Philly fan that went out there and made that video saying, "Hey Philly, honestly, let's give Trey some love." And they had all those ovations, and then he did so well that he appreciated the gesture so much that he went out and got that billboard, or a few of them, I think.
Multiples,
and just said thank you. Like, that's a big deal. Even if the Phillies don't make it back to the World Series this year, I think that's very important for Trey going forward with this contract that he signed. So we got to wait and see.
All right, fair enough. On the backs of that, after the ovations that happened, Trey has now been batting just under 400. I think it's like 395. 2 home runs, 4 doubles, and like that homestand here. They are off today. Finally, they get a day off after like 17 straight games in a row. So they were due. They actually get 2 off days this week. They get an off day today, and then they get 2 games against Toronto, and then an off day. Again on Thursday. So going forward here, the Angels went all in at the deadline, as we definitely talked about during at least 2 or 3 of the shows that we talked about the deadline. They went all in, showing Ohtani they're serious. Balk or walk? The Angels made a mistake and should have sold Ohtani rather than buying to try and surround him around there, because as of right now, they are, I think, 6.5 out of that final wild card spot. And that is a tall mountain to climb in the AL.
I would have to say they made a mistake. I'll walk with it. Every analyst that I watched that talked about the Angels' approach and their decision making at the deadline, I don't fault them. I think arguably I'd have probably been like, you're still not eliminated. You're very much in it this year, especially when Trout comes back. It would have been a hard pill to swallow, even as an outside fan of the team, if they would have traded him, but it just made way too much sense. The historic haul they could have gotten for him. But like I said, I can't fault them for trying. Right. They just really have to hope and pray that
they need to go crazy hot.
They need to go crazy hot. But if they don't, they need to pray that Ohtani says, I like what they did. I like that they tried and they didn't just fold because they had a few rough weeks, or however you want to look at it. But it's not seeming like that's going to be the case.
No, it's not looking real good, honestly. It's a shame. I even heard that, honestly, I think the mistake they really made was, like, this year there wasn't really any major moves. I mean, we saw Scherzer and Verlander do their thing, but I think the big thing, I think they missed the window last year to do it with the big Soto trade. There was a lot of moves that could have been done last year, and I think it would have set up the Angels for more success in the future. Especially if he walks this year, they are going to look very foolish this year. And it's a shame, but they bet on themselves, and so far it has not come back to fruition, and it's not looking promising for them to do it. So that's going to cost them big time.
Yeah.
The last Balk Talk question I have is kind of different, in the sense that it is not a balk or walk question. I am asking you genuinely for your answer on this, because the NL wild card spot, final spot, is wide open right now. In your opinion, as it stands right now, I'd like to know who you think gets that final wild card spot. I know you could also add Milwaukee in here, but they're not in this list because they are currently the Central Division champs. If you want to change somebody, you can do that. But currently, as it sits right now, Miami holds the last spot, followed by Chicago, Cincinnati, Arizona, and lingering. I added them to this list because I'm curious your thoughts on this. They're lingering. They're only, if I look correctly here, they're only, I believe, 5 games out, 5.5, the San Diego Padres. So Miami, Chicago, Cincinnati, Arizona, San Diego. Out of those, who do you think will take that final wild card spot?
It's really tough to say. I like Miami. I like the fight that they're showing. I just don't see them making it this year.
I will say this, they have been getting a lot more out of Sandy Alcantara recently, which is very scary for the rest of the league.
Just imagine if Sandy had started the year and was consistently this hot, they might be kind of in the first wild card spot. But
possibly.
I mean, Arizona very, very well could. I mean, over their last 10, they're 2-8 at 500. The Fathers very well could come back and get it, but they just seem so dysfunctional and don't have each other's back. And Soto had those comments the other day that just did not really.
I didn't see those. What did he say?
He said
it can't be good, obviously, by your reaction.
He said more or less that when their backs get put to the wall, that they have no fight and they give up, and that
Yikes.
That's one of those where you look at it and you go, well, I like the honesty, but are you really gonna want to?
He doesn't want to be there anymore.
No, exactly, and he does not want to be there. I think it's going to come down between Chicago and Cincinnati. With how well Chicago's been playing, you can't put it past them. And, Cincinnati has vastly outplayed expectations. I'm going to say Cincinnati takes it to try and not go with the safe bet, because I feel like Chicago, with how they've been playing, is the safe bet.
Yeah,
The
you've been
one,
a big believer in Cincinnati though this whole
yeah,
time. You've never backed off to that stance. I've
nope,
always been the one that's doubted them. You've always been very headstrong on believing in
yep.
them.
So I mean, but in their last 10, Cincinnati's 3-7, Chicago's 6-4 overall on the year. The run differential, like you pointed out last week, Chicago's at a plus 64, and Cincinnati's at a negative 22,
Mhm.
and that's kind of plays into why I don't see Miami taking it, because their run differential is negative 40, but
Right.
they have a playoff spot right now. If the playoffs started today, they'd be in. So
Yep.
I'm going to say Cincinnati to try and pick a fire,
Pick a fire pick. I
a
like
hot
it. I
pick.
like it.
Yeah,
Hot take. Hot take.
hot
Hot
take,
take.
hot take.
That's mine. So I will turn it
All
over to
right.
you. You can hit your Balk talks with me.
All right, guys. Well, I have three to give Richie here, and then hopefully you guys as well, throwing them in the comments, both on the YouTube video and on Instagram. But this is one that I've had for, I think, the better part of a month now or so. But I know we have one of the worst umpires in the game is CB Buckner. He's also one of the most hot-headed ones.
Yes, he is.
Angel Hernandez has come back. We finally figured out, I know in one of the last like 5 or 6 episodes, maybe even 7, we brought up like, where in the world did Angel Hernandez go? He had surgery at some point for an injury, so that's why he missed. He unfortunately did not miss time because of how butt cheeks he is at his job.
Mhm.
But in terms of performance with balls and strikes, with out calls, and egregious things like that, as well as antics with players and managers, whenever a player is just, they haven't dropped any magic words, but they are just, that was bad. You need to get that right. And then, because it happened to Bohm. Oh no, Bohm spiked his equipment. That's why he got ejected. But George
Actually, no,
Springer
he actually didn't get thrown until much after that.
was,
The spike didn't help, I'm sure, but
no,
he
he got
actually was
fined for
wrong.
it.
Yeah, he got fined for it, but
I think it's when he threw his helmet.
something like that.
Yeah.
It was something that he kept on hearing it, and finally the ump just threw him. And
Yeah.
honestly, it was the most kind of expected throw. I think the ump was like, "Oh, you want me to throw you? I got it."
Yeah.
Like,
So, yeah, but the other day when Toronto was in Cleveland, George Springer got called out on a low pitch, which by the box on the TV, it was out of the strike zone. It wasn't
oh, it
touching
was
it. It was
super low.
close, but it was a bad call. And so
Mhm.
he turned around, like, it looks like he kind of was like, ugh. I kind of feel like the ump might have said something, because he turned around and was like, no, it was a bad call. That was low. And he was doing like shouting and stuff, but he clearly didn't say the right magic word, because he didn't get thrown out yet. The umpire was staring him down, but then he turns around, starts walking to the dugout, and he's like, ugh, and he throws his hand up, and that's when the umpire throws him out. So my question is, balk or walk, umpires should be subject to fines and disciplinary action for consistently bad calls and antics involving players and managers.
Walk, capital WALK, walk. 100%. There's nothing that ever governs the umpires. I mean, there's Twitter profiles that have that do basically the umpire scorecards, and we've seen
Mm-hmm.
those. And CBs are always bad. Angels are always bad, and yet
Mm-hmm.
MLB does nothing about it. It drives me insane. I know the umpires have a union, and I know that there's a process. I'm not saying that
Mm-hmm.
there can't be. What I am saying though is it's ridiculous at this point. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't get the calls right effectively, then you deserve some disciplinary action for it. And I mean like if you miss like 75% of your calls or like something like that, it's got to be a high metric, because it's hard to do. I'm not saying that this is an easy job.
Yeah.
These pitches are coming in at like 90 plus miles an hour. There's movement to them. There is an element of guessing to it. Okay. We're going to call a spade a spade. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're that far off every time and it changes the balance of the game, it's huge, and it's just not right. That game yesterday where Bohm gets thrown out because of the spiking of the stuff. I mean, do I think he should have spiked this stuff? Not really. You want to get in his face and scream at him? Fine, scream at him, but maybe not spike your stuff. But that gets MLB's eyes, and that's why he got fined. But don't just give me an excuse like that. That changed the whole complexion of the game. That should have been a walk. That should have had a run come in, and then you should have another batter with a fresh count. Now, will that batter get a hit or a run or anything like that? No. I mean, the odds are he might, for all we know, ground out or pop out, and it's over. Inning over. It was 2 outs left in the inning. I understand. But that's still a 2-1 game at that point instead of a 2-0 game, which then turned into a 3-0 game later on down the line. But those things matter, and you change momentums of games when you don't get the calls correctly. And I know we don't like the robo-ump thing, but I was doing more research on it, and I was trying to understand what the robo-ump is. It's really just an appeal. You're all you're tapping your helmet to appeal, and you get one of them. I don't know how the game doesn't mind that. You're not taking the human aspect out of it. There's still going to be missed calls. I mean, there's no way of making it perfect. But there's those things where that matters. Bohm would have been smacking his helmet as hard as possible to get that call, get that reviewed. And it would have been a walk, and we would have moved on. It's not to show up the umpires. The umpires get all upset that it's going to show them up. It's not a show up.
Who cares?
You have a job to do. It's not your job to be the center of attention. Your job is to call the game. So yes, I 100% walk with you on this. It is horrible, and there's too many of these situations coming around.
Agreed. So I feel like the only discipline that umpires get is sometimes, depending on the stage, you goofed talk. So I remember watching, I want to say it was the 2012 World Series with Detroit and San Francisco. There was like a behind the scenes from one of the games where Brian Onora was, I think, the home plate umpire, and the game was over. He went back, and Joe Torre, I don't know if he's still like the head of the umpires
I think he
aspect.
is still. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's up there in it. Yeah.
Either way, he walked up to him and was like, "Hey, you really screwed and missed this call and whatnot," and that was about it. Like, obviously, Angel
or they
Hernandez,
just don't let those guys they don't let certain guys call certain playoff series. That's it.
Yeah,
like Angel will never call a World Series.
And he's tried to have, discrimination cases against MLB, and they've gone nowhere, because I'm pretty sure whoever the auditor was to that case was like, no, you are absolute booty cheeks at
You're
what
bad.
you do.
Sorry, if you don't stink, maybe you'll get a chance, but you stink.
Exactly.
You shouldn't get rewarded for stinking.
I agree. Second one, Balk or walk. This is going to be an interesting offseason in regards to manager firings. So Buck has to be on the hot seat. I don't know how almost he hasn't been fired yet. Ali Marmol, I'm a lot of people are surprised he hasn't been fired yet with how much St. Louis imploded all over themselves. I think another manager that you kind of might have to look out at in terms of what their future next year could look like is Bob Melvin, one of the better managers in baseball, but just for some reason that team is not playing.
It's not there.
They're not a team. Another example, Aaron Boone. I think Boone's gone. Cashman should be gone. Who knows?
No. He should be, but he's not going to be, probably.
Yeah. So
Boone will be gone.
Yeah. I mean, every year you usually will get one or two managers that are new to a team, but this might be one where we see 4 to 5.
Yeah, you mentioned like 4 right there.
Pedro Griffal. I mean, the White Sox they have been a joke on several different levels, and they really shouldn't be. They should be really kind of putting Cleveland to shame, and maybe even Minnesota. But
Minnesota's not that good a team. I just watched more games of them this year, and it's like They're not that good. They have two great pitchers. And other than those two guys, like, I'm not worried about them. And it's, of course, the two pitchers I watched this weekend, Pablo Lopez and Sonny Gray.
But
minus those two, I'm not worried about them.
It's Cleveland having a sophomore slump because 90% of the roster is sophomores. And Minnesota's got to hopefully make the playoffs this year and hope that they have more production and sign a few guys in the offseason, because who knows, maybe Cleveland, plays better next year. But Balk or walk, interesting offseason in regards to manager firings.
Part of me wants to walk with you on it. Part of me also wants to balk you on it. And here's why. I think a lot of these teams are not going to make those moves. You mentioned a few. I think Boone will get fired. I don't think Buck will. I actually think Buck is safe. I don't know why he's safe, but he is. I think Pablo has Griffo has a chance. Yeah. Pedro, thank you. Pedro Griffo is a 50-50. He's a coin flip to me. He should get fired, but he might not be. Boone is definitely fired. I don't know how he ever comes back. So he should be definitely gone. Marmol, I think, is safe. Only because they had one bad year, and I think management's going to give him a shot to turn it back around. I walk with you in the sense that I think it will be interesting, but I don't think it will be interesting in the sense that there will be 5 teams that are looking for a manager. I think you're looking at maybe 2 or 3, but they are very interesting teams that are looking for him, because there's teams with a lot of stuff. I think Melvin is safe as well. I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I think they're going to blame it on clubhouse chemistry before they blame it on Melvin. So the GM will get fired before they fire Melvin. In that sense, the only ones that I've mentioned that are gone are Boone and Griffo, really.
Okay.
In that sense, Boone would be interesting because that team's good enough if they get a right leader to turn it around. I mean, the White Sox are an implosion, so who knows about that one. But yeah. So I half and half. I walk with you because I think it will be interesting, but I think it will be a different interesting than what you're thinking.
And then the final one of the episode, with the season that the Mets, the Yankees, and the Padres are having, this will hurt mega contracts and player salary demands going forward. Walk or walk on that. And, Lindor, when he was having discussions with Cleveland, I had to agree with him, kept saying, the owners can fork over the contract that he was looking for. Arguably, he has not earned the contract that he got with New York. You look at the Yankees poured not a ton of money, because they, just like the Mets, both of them poured a lot of money into desperation pieces. Judge was not a desperation piece. It was a desperation piece, and they needed to keep him to be relevant, but it wasn't a desperation piece because he's worth the money.
Absolutely.
But the Mets poured $500 million in one offseason, or a couple off seasons combined, like a ridiculous amount of money, and it's gone nowhere. San Diego put a ton of money into quite a few players, and it's gone nowhere. So, but then you look at the Rays, who developed well and have been a constant contender now for the last few years, off and on, especially this year. Cleveland is usually in that same boat. When they have their windows, it's not because they spent money. I mean, they spent money technically in 2017, and they produced, they just didn't finish the job. But in 2016, they didn't. So we're seeing a lot of these teams. I think the Philly could be put into that mix just because they have put money into it. They're still playing well. They haven't imploded all over themselves, but they're not solely based around money. Their team is not we buy our team. We have pieces that we have brought in, but a lot of their guys, it seems, they have good homegrown chemistry. But because of all of that, and potential future contract talks and collective bargaining discussions, these players aren't going to be able to get this. Like, they need to pay us money. They need to stop, skimping out.
I'll balk you on it, and here's why I'm going to balk you on it. I agree with your points. Your points are very sound. Like, there's no arguments here. The difference is, and I'm going to include Philly in this because Philly hasn't did the thing that they haven't done for years, and that's go over the luxury tax. So I consider when you go over the luxury tax, you bought people. I mean, you bought your team. So for the better part of it, they did buy Schwarber, and this is before last year. They bought Schwarber, they bought Castellanos, you bought Turner, and you bought Harper, and all these things. Now they do have a good chemistry, and that's, I think, the biggest difference. And that's where I think the difference lies between Philly and the rest of everybody. The chemistry that you have in your clubhouse. This is where a good GM, president of operations, whatever the title is that they have, whoever's making those decisions has to be in tune with. San Diego bought a lot of good pieces. They didn't buy pieces that mesh together, as you can clearly see. Xander Bogaerts is worth the contract he got as a player. He's played up to expectations, in my opinion. Maybe not perfectly, but as far as stats go, he's played up to expectations. Juan Soto is worth his money. I think that's worth the money as well. Manny Machado is worth that money. Yu Darvish is worth that money. Blake Snell, when he gets his deal this offseason, will be worth that money. They may not work together, though. That's why they didn't sign certain people. That's why this is the thing that people don't understand is the Mets people they brought in. Yes, we agree. There was a lot of desperation signings in there. We'll see what that is. And Cohen's having to eat that money for what it is. But you look at the Mets, nothing was cohesive there. Lindor is worth that money when he's Lindor. I know we can both argue that he's not worth that money right now, and we can agree he's had a horrible year. Alonso, when he's healthy, is worth that money. Nimmo, no, probably not, but he's playing up to that money right now. But these guys that are that core there is no core. The guys that are supposed to be the core there are not a core. Yeah. And I think that's your biggest issue right now. The Mets didn't have a set core that they were coming into.
That they built around.
Or whether they bought them. I mean, look at Philly. They bought the core piece is Bryce Harper, but they brought pieces around that with him. Hey, do you want, the development has to be there for all sides. Okay, well, here's the pieces and it works. And you can buy the one core piece, but you have to make sure the pieces around him fit. Schwarber fits, Casty fits, all these guys fit in their team, and they're a group of guys that are with each other. You could see it when they play together, as well as when they do interviews and stuff like that. They're very for each other. Helps to have the young guys come up too and invigorate some stuff. But you look at New York, both of them, Mets or Yankees, they're not together. Giancarlo wants nothing to do with that team. Like, he doesn't look like he wants to be a Yankee.
And
Judge wants to be a Yankee, but Giancarlo doesn't look like he wants to be there.
And that's on him then, because he had that no trade clause and refused any other trade or whatnot unless it was to someone like the Yankees, and now he's miserable.
Right. He doesn't look like he wants to be there, or it's just not his kind of. And we could be wrong. He might love being a Yankee, but the team is not want to be. He doesn't want to be part of this team. Harrison Bader does not really fit with that team. You can see that his skills are good, but it doesn't necessarily fit with that team. We've already mentioned how many times they write a new left fielder in there. I mean, that's like clockwork. We talked about that with last week with the John Boy article, but it's those things there. So this is why I balked that. Shohei's gonna get a $500 million contract this year, and he's worth every penny of that contract.
Yep.
The problem is he gonna go somewhere that the team chemistry is right for him to be in there with that $500 million contract? Yeah. Time will tell. Yep. Would Aaron Judge fit in better if he was on the Giants rather than the Yankees right now? Arguably, you could say yes. We won't know that. But that's the difference. Is the chemistry going to work? So I balk because, no, I don't think the money's going to change, because I think you could argue that their individual stats are worth that payment. Okay. The problem is you need to find the right slots. And that's the difference between players these days versus players from olden days, where we saw teams like I don't want to say, I'll say Griffey for the most part. Griffey
Mhm.
was mainly going to where he could be until he went to Cincinnati, because we all know that was a different choice, but
Yeah.
was going to be in a team that competed, and that was for chemistry. Jeter staying in New York was about the chemistry. I know he was always there, but he signed deals to stay there with Posada and Pettit and that core four that was there all through that whole time frame. The Mets, David Wright, you look at their lifelong guys, and there's a reason they stayed there. Those teams that win World Series and things like that, look at Houston last year and even this year, that core is still there. Altuve, Tucker, Jordan. They brought back a core piece in Verlander. You know, look how excited Verlander is to be back in that clubhouse. Do you understand how fast, like, Martin Maldonado texted Verlander when he saw that deal was done? Verlander and Maldonado are like so close that Maldonado was ecstatic when he said it. He said, "I can't wait to see you when you walk in." And when he walked in the door to meet up with his new teammates again, new old teammates, quote unquote.
Yeah.
They were having like it was like a reunion, they said. They had a reunion that he was back and part of the team again, and he felt back at home. That's a huge thing. The chemistry is huge. Yeah, he got paid, and he deserves to get paid. But you have to find the right balance of players. So that's why I balk it. But I like the question a lot.
Okay. But guys, that's going to conclude this episode of What's on Second, a true baseball podcast. We want to thank you for coming out again. It is going to be a longer, unedited version of the show for the podcast. I know for YouTube, for the streaming audience right now, if anyone's been watching, it's going to obviously have been a normal video. When it goes onto the YouTube channel is when you can play back. It'll stay the same. But for the podcast, it is going to be unedited due to vacationing and travel. And then also on top of that, there's probably not going to be an episode next week, just because I will be running all around Ohio still.
Richie may do one. We'll see. He's still thinking. He's tinkering.
Absolutely. Yeah. But we do want to encourage you to go out to Instagram, give us a follow. I know we've talked about starting up a TikTok to kind of put those same videos that we've been putting on Instagram just on another social platform. That way, if you're on that more so than the gram, then it gives you more ability to see our lovely mugs. But go give the Instagram a follow. Let us know what you think of our Balk talks and our opinions, and we hope to see you out there next week, or technically in 2 weeks,